Very good afternoon. Welcome back to Sweden for day 3 of the Biathlon World Cup meeting going on here. And, well, this is the first really tense race of the season for me. The pursuit for the men's and the grouping, Mike, so close together. It's going to make for a thrilling event.
2:26 separates the first 60 and sets off Eckhoff first position.
So Stian Eckhoff, after his first win 2 days ago, gets the privilege of going first in the pursuit event. He's got a 10-second lead over Frode Andersen, who's away. Sergei Rozhkov of Russia also underway. Raphael Poiré now back in yellow for the second time this year, but it's his first win 2 days ago, so he was, in fact, he hasn't won yet this season. This could be the day he does it, but what he has done, Mike, is he's finished in the top 5 in every event.
Consistent, but I think Raphael is hurting. He wants that first place again, and today could well be the day.
So Poiré being followed by Hannevold and Bergman, and then Jay Hakkinen of the United States gets an early start. Superb run from him in the sprint event, finished 7th. He starts with Egil Hjelland, who should overhaul the American in the first couple of kilometres. We'll see how they get on. Thomas Sikora of Poland, another superb season he's having, in 11th position in the World Cup. Starts number 9 today, just ahead of Ludwig Gredler, the old veteran from Austria at 37, still going as strong as ever. Rico Gross now on course, starting 51 seconds down on the leaders. Grice, Brissis and Alexander Oss also on course already. So you can see how tight it is. Remember the format for the men's pursuit. The distance covered, 12.5 kilometres, 4 shoots to be completed, so 20 targets to be hit. The first 10 in the prone, the second 10 in the standing. And Mike, the tension builds as the race goes on. The key shoot, always the 4th one.
It always is. That's when the most pressure, and even out on the track, this is an absolute scrap out here. Frode Andersen is desperately trying to hunt down Eckhoff, put him under pressure before the range. 4 of them are separated here by 10-second margin, so they will create the first lead group.
Well, we've had to chat to some of the ex-skiers about the state of the course here in Östersund, and they're saying they've made big improvements over the last couple of days. It broke up yesterday in the women's race, and there were lots of icy patches underneath. We saw, in particular, Kadi Wilhelm go down, but a number of athletes that we didn't see also took big falls, and they've been working overnight. Lots of artificial snow laid on the top, and it was damp when they put it down. It's been pressed down. It's now nice and icy, and hopefully the course is in slightly better condition. But for me, Mike, a little bit of ice on a corner is part of the game.
Well, I think so too. I mean, it's part of the test of your balance, your skills. While you're going 30-40 kilometers an hour, you need to have skills in all these departments if you're going to do well in the World Cups.
Well, there are courses around the world, not perhaps so much in the biathlon events, but where you can get up to speeds of 80 to 90 kilometers an hour on these cross-country skis. I remember Davos in the old days coming down out of the woods, down towards the town. That was a very rapid course indeed, like being on a Scalextrics track. And then the old course in Lahti used to be very, very quick indeed, with compressions as well. But not quite the same problem here.
Nothing horrifically fast, but great to see the track. I mean, now we can see what they're putting their bodies through, these biathletes. Look at Frode. His tactic has come true, and they dragged Poiré on with him. I think Rozhkov is racing his own race here. It's very tempting to try and hunt down the fastest. Oh, look at Poiré. He's flown past Eckhoff.
And he's gone past Frode Andersen. So Poiré's mission is obviously clear. He's got the yellow bib back, having started this season in it, having won the World Cup last year. So he's back in familiar territory. Mike, what do you think Poiré's aims are this year? We've heard many interviews. He says, well, the #1 thing to win is the Crystal Globe for the overall World Cup, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that. But he'll also be after golds at the World Championships.
Oh, without a doubt, this man wants his name etched into the history books of biathlon, and in fact he really is practically there as one of the biggest names ever. But of course we've got Bjørn Dahlen here as well, so between Bjørn Dahlen and Poiré, they're desperate to try and take on and win more titles. I think he wants, as you say, the Crystal Globe again for the overall, but he wants more gold medals at the World Champs. Very tough combination to put so many big aims into one season.
Well, we'll see how it goes for Poiré. If you were to rank Bjørn Dahlen and Poiré, who goes on top for you?
For me, It's so difficult to say, but to my mind, Bjorn Dahlen is above Poirier because of his exceptional form at the Olympics. 4 gold medals. That will not be achieved again, I'm quite sure, in biathlon.
So the Olympics is all important.
Well, that's the proof of the biathlete who can focus his mind and body over a 12, 14-day period to be on a level that is apart from the world. It is superhuman level on a 4 times basis within a period of time at the Olympics. That's a very hard thing to do. Great magic to bring that forward and make it happen.
Well, no one's going to belittle that achievement of Bjorn Dahlen's, but I think I favour Poirier as the greatest ever for his consistency. When he has a bad race, he's still up there in the top 5 or 6. When he has a good race, he's almost untouchable. But if you were to take them both on their best form, I think Bjorn Dahlen would just squeeze in front because of his superior ski speed. But overall, I think Poirier is the whole thing. His shooting is consistent even on a bad day.
And many years, you're right. He keeps bringing these reliable performances out. They're both great. I mean, I don't want to belittle either of these two great biathletes. And Froda's not settling for second.
Well, it's a discussion that will run throughout the season. Bjorn Dahlen not here, of course. He's racing in Ramsau in the cross-country World Cups this weekend. We'll keep you informed as to how he gets on. David Goldstrom covering those events. But back to this race. The first 2.5 kilometre loop almost completed now. Frode Andersen, who started second. And if you're wondering why Frode Andersen is here and not down in Ramsau, the answer is that he was given an ultimatum by the Norwegian team. Put in a good result before Christmas, or you are out of the biathlon team whether you like it or not. So he really had no choice. He had to come here, produce the results, and 2 days ago he did it, getting second in the sprint. And he settles first. But it looks as though Poirier is the quicker to take his alignment and the first to claim the target. No mistakes as yet. They will come at some stage. Wind conditions slightly left from right. Andersen's thrown the last one wide. Poirier gets it down. Predictable stuff. Rojkov very slow to get the first round off, and he has made 2 mistakes out of 2. I think the sights must have taken a knock or something there, Mike. Very unusual for Rojkov to miss the first 2 in the prone.
Well, do you know what Rojkov did there? He took the first lap at his own pace, but he settled for ages. He tried to recover much longer than normal, and he isn't staying with his normal rhythm.
2 mistakes from Jay Hakkinen. I think he skied a little too fast, trying to stay with Egil Kjelland as he came in. Kjelland has coped with the pace. He's hit 5, and Hakkinen 2 misses already. He's going to go from the top 5 right the way down to outside the top 15, but we'll get confirmation of the positions. Poirier, Andersen, Eckhoff, the leading 3, now separated by 23 seconds, and they came in together. That's the price of missing targets. Rojkov 26 behind. Egil Kjelland making ground already. Started down in 8th position, and he's up to 5th. Rico Gross, the world champion in the pursuit event, in 6th place at the moment. It would be great for Rico to get a good result. He's struggled a little this year. Thomas Sikora, there or thereabouts. Michael Grice of Germany. Anyone else in the top 10 who's impressed you, Mike?
Well, one that hasn't, Hanavold. I expected him to be top 10, but Bergman, yes, he's had a fantastic 3 results in the top 10 for the young Swedish biathlete, and he really has got his shooting together this year.
So the latest starters and some of the big names who start late on. Sven Fischer, 1 miss in the prone, and Fischer has really got to get himself into the top 10. He's the master of the pursuit, but he made a bad mistake yesterday, finishing 23rd and dropping down the world rankings from 1st to 2nd. And if he wants to stay with Poirier, he's got to really try and get in the top 5 in this pursuit today.
Well, I'm just thinking of Fischer last week, Patrick. He missed the first shot, but still came through from 10th to win the race. So that's the great aspect of this pursuit. It can change any time on the range.
So Rafael Poirier leading the way here in Östersund. He's already got 11 pursuit wins to his name. Is he on his way to making it number 12?
Why print at home? Get real photos from your digital camera with Fujifilm. More brilliant, long-lasting, and for less than you think. Real photos from digital. Now at your photo shop.
cheer when you win. With Bet and Win, Europe's #1 in sports betting. So many sports, so much excitement. Bet and Win, around the clock, around the world.
Welcome to Östersund in Sweden. We're now just into the early stages of the men's pursuit, their third pursuit of the season, but one that has started with all the athletes very close together indeed. 50 seconds separating the top 13 starters. And of course, Ekhoff, Anderson, Rojkov, Poiré, the first four away, only separated by 13 seconds. But already the Frenchman has stamped his authority on this event. He's now a long way clear of Frode Andersen, who Frode in second place, having to work very hard to close down on Raphael Poiré. This is where we've seen it go wrong for Anderson so many times.
It is indeed, and interestingly, he was saying just yesterday, he said, because of his terrible start, he said, my thoughts have been with my girlfriend, of course the famous biathlete herself, and unborn child most of the time. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks before he becomes a father, and that's where we've talked. Biathlon is about the mind and being focused. His mind hasn't been here, but as you mentioned, he was threatened that he will be out of the team unless he produces the goods, so then he focused again. He managed to do that just 2 days ago, and he's trying hard today, and quite often that isn't a great thing for Frode, trying too hard.
Well, Rojkov, of course, a father. He started #3 with Ilya and Tatiana, his 2 children, and Raphael Poiré became a father a couple of years ago now to Emma, so they're all there. They're all in the same boat, getting less sleep than they used to. But very few of them have girlfriends or wives actually on the tour. Poiré does, and of course Frode Andersen will, if Gunn-Margit comes back onto the tour.
Well, I think Gunn-Margit will. I mean, the Olympics next year, she's always been top, the last 8 years she's been top 15 in the world, and this could be like the break that she's needed. She's had a 10, 11 serious seasons in biathlon. A break is good.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see if that is what happens. Take a quick look at the caption. You can see that 20 seconds separating the top 2 positions, but it's still very, very tight. Only 1 shoot of the 4 completed so far. Poiré, who has a home in Norway, in fact lives in the same town as Egil Kielland, Hallandsdalen, which is in the Hardanger region, the Hardangervidda, one of the great ski touring areas of Scandinavia. Absolutely beautiful place in the summer, and not bad at Easter either. That's not a bad time of year to go.
Just looking at times, Frode has lost 2 seconds from exiting the penalty loop to Poiré at the last split, so I thought Frode Andersen would be really pushing hard to try and pull that time back. Now leaves Poiré out on his own.
Well, Poiré, who is a man who leaves absolutely nothing to chance. You can see how graceful, how well balanced he looks on the ski. That's one of the keys. The more efficient you are, obviously, the faster you can go and the longer you can go at that speed. How much of a part do you think Christian Dumont, his coach, plays in all this? Or do you think he really is his own coach?
Well, I suppose at this level, and knowing Raphael, he is his own coach. He's his own thinker, does take advice from many.
Well, he's got some thinking to do now. He's got the lead, second shoot, in the prone position once again, and he knows that if he misses here...
Check the flags. It's windy, it's coming from the left. I didn't notice him adjusting. It's kind of coming from the left and behind, so it will press the rounds down. The bullets as they fly through the air.
But he's had a quick look to see what's going on. I think that may pay off. Well, he's certainly realised the potential danger, and Poiré taking his time. Down goes #5. Anderson makes his first mistake, and the Frenchman is going to extend that lead. 20 seconds he had. Only 1 miss from Anderson. He's certainly still in with a chance of finishing in the top 3. Ekhoff and Kielland, the Norwegians there in numbers, Mike. 3 of them in the top 4 positions as we speak, with Rojkov, Grice and Gross bringing up the rear of that leading group.
Oh, look at Rojkov. He's stuck with his normal rhythm. He didn't waste time like last time. He settled for too long. 5 of 5.
So watch the lead. Poiré is away and clear, out of the range, but Kielland and Eckhoff also chasing hard, Rojkov with them. I think Anderson's going to drop from second down to fourth or fifth place. Rojkov's come out 20.9 behind, but a really good battle for second, third and fourth position. And we're going to see Anderson putting on another spurt, Mike, to try and get himself back up with that group in second, third and fourth.
He certainly has to work harder. Just looking at shooting times, Poirier took 40 seconds that time.
Well, that's the performance of a very, very experienced biathlete. He saw the wind and just took his time. Alexander Oss of Norway cleared 5. He's going well, should move up through the order. Jay Häkkinen, who missed 2 targets on his first prone. 1 to go, and Häkkinen gets it down. He's back in business, but alongside Jeremy Thiele, who hasn't really performed for America so far this year, but he's got enormous potential.
Look at Pinter from Austria. He's establishing as the second best Austrian, but he's missed 1.
Sven Fischer clear on his second prone. That gives him another chance, but he's way, way outside the top 15, and he's over a minute 25 behind the leaders. Fischer has got to do something spectacular in this second half of the race.
Just Chepikov as well from 22. He started 22. He's up in 14th.
Well, there are the top 8 positions. 14:01 the time for Raphael Poirier. Looking down the order, the top 20 still only a minute and a half apart. So all to play for here, but the advantage station here, the men's pursuit. If you just joined us, we're halfway through. The 2 prone shoots now completed, and it is a familiar story with Raphael Poirier leading the way for France. He's got some Russians and 3 Norwegians hot on his tail, so the pressure isn't off quite yet, and he hasn't got enough of a lead, Mike, to be afforded that luxury of shooting on his own on the 3rd and 4th shoots.
No, Eckhoff only 19 seconds behind Poirier. In fact, there's Rojkov as well. And that does put Poirier under pressure. He'll sense him coming into the range just as he's about to fire his first shot. Can he cope with the pressure? We saw him melt down at the World Champs, where he held and held for about a minute and a half trying to hit the targets, and it cost him gold.
Well, of the chasing skiers, the likes of Eckhoff, Rojkov and Hjelland, they all have a shooting standard in the standing position of between 84 and 86%, so not a lot to separate them so far this season. Raphael Poirier exactly the same, 86% in the standing. His was 90% in the prone. The only man who's any different from that is Frode Andersen, 66% in the standing. I think it's not going to be his day, but we'll have to wait and see.
Looks like Frode coming through.
Rojkov leading that chasing group. This looks like Frode coming up now, Mike. He was 6 seconds down. It doesn't look as though he hasn't made any effort to try and close the gap. Possibly not feeling so good, or...
Well, the second fastest actual course time, that's excluding the range yesterday. Poirier had the fastest, so Frode is up there. Remember, he's been round that penalty loop twice, so yes, on paper, at 29 behind Poirier, he's certainly skiing the fastest today.
Rico Gross going through the split time at 6.6 kilometres. Remember the distance, 12.5 kilometres. And Rico, who comes from the south of Germany, Ruhpolding, his venue where he trains now with Fritz Fischer, his head coach, and Bernd Eisenbichler, his technician. And since 2002, when he teamed up with that pair, he's done a whole lot better. It really has been a couple of good seasons. And for a man who was talking about retirement back in 1998, he's not doing too bad.
He's doing fantastically well. Although Rico will be a little disappointed that his ski speed, he can't, on perfect shooting, as we've seen so far, 0-0, he's not actually able to close the gap on this man.
And of course, he was clear in the pursuit event in Oslo as well. So the shooting just is not a problem for Rico Gross at the moment. It is a question of form. He's the only man who's got, in fact, his standing shooting this year 96%, his prone 94%. He's way above everyone else in the shooting stakes at the moment. So watch out for Gross. He should come in 6th or 7th position for this 3rd critical shoot in the standing position. Poirier it is, though, who is going to settle first. Watch his routine, watch the body language and the tension in the face. 5 will put him in a very strong position indeed.
He seemed to rush that. He's aware there's 4 great biathletes coming in beside him. Pressure's on now, Poirier.
Well, this really does open the race up. 2 misses for Poirier, and shades of the World Championship pursuit event 9-10 months ago. Well, Ekhoff and Rozhkov are coming through. A mistake from Ekhoff gives Rozhkov the lead, and Hieland can go out with him if he just clears this final shot. Holding, and he's made a mistake, so all 3 Norwegians missing 1 target. They'll be on the penalty loop together. They'll be delighted to see that Poirier is going round twice, and Poirier is going to drop from 1st down to 5th. It's not the end of the day for him, because he'll come in a much better position. Leading in on the last shoot is often the downfall of all great biathletes. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what can happen, but watch the time split. He needs to be within 30 seconds of the leaders.
He does, but Rozhkov is having the perfect race. He didn't get caught up in that early, incredibly fast pace. Stuck with his own routine. Did take a slow shooting time the first time round. Forgot that the second time, and he's way out ahead.
So 20 seconds between first and second now. Rozhkov leading the way. Anderson 25.9. That slow ski on the 3rd leg has really paid off for Anderson. Only 1 target missed. Remember, he's only hit 66% of the standing target, so we were expecting at least 2 misses. Hieland 28 down. Poirier, Mike, 37.8 seconds behind. That's 1.5 penalty loops, so he's got to try and shoot clear, because I can't see all 4 of those men in front of him missing more than 1 target.
But we do know Rafael has the fastest ski time today, and he may pull a few seconds back, and we know he can shoot fast, so he's going to pull out all the stops.
Fischer taking a lot of care over the 5th shot, but it's gone down, and he will be moving up through the order. He finished the sprint event on Thursday in 23rd position. In fact, it was Wednesday, my mistake. This World Cup being strung out over 5 days of competition. The women's pursuit event taking place tomorrow, and then the 2 mass starts on Sunday. The first mass starts of the season. That's going to be an absolute cracker. Make sure you tune in for that, or set the video timers. Now, Rozhkov, Ekhoff, Anderson, the top 3. As you can see, Poirier dropping from 1st down to 5th. Alexander Oss, a man who's making ground, 14th up to 9th already. So that would be good to get Oss in the top 10. The Norwegians, the dominant team so far today. Well, that's where it went wrong for Rafael. Welcome back to Östersund. You've missed absolutely nothing since we took that break. Mike, Rozhkov approaching the range for the final time now. Could be his first win of the season. Remember, he had the lead in the World Cup standings in early January last year. That, for him, has been the highlight of his career, wearing the yellow bib in the World Cups. Hasn't started this season quite so well, but he's still in the top 10, 8th position. While we watched the chasers, what did you make of Rafael's standing shoot? What was going wrong there?
Well, he was aware, and we mentioned he'd be aware the others are coming in. Now, he is the master of pressure, is Poirier, in my opinion. But he kind of melted. He folded. His technique gave in. And we saw him miss the 2 shots low, which indicates that he hit the nerves. He was holding it too long, and that's an indication of when you miss low. It's tension coming through his hands, creating a slow reaction in the trigger pressure.
So a little bit of a delayed reaction from the brain saying pull the trigger, and the finger actually working.
Panic, pressure, panic, all those symptoms.
Just a reminder, but the 2 differences between the prone, or the main difference between prone shooting and standing. In the prone, you hold the target, the rifle, with the sights absolutely on the target, and then release around. In the standing, you bring the sights up onto the target, or some will drop it down onto the target, and as it fills the sights, then you release the round. So the standing shoot is a reflex action, as opposed to the prone, which is a very, very precise motion.
It is a much more precise and stable motion, as you say, in the lying down. The stand, there's a lot of movement to the rifle. So difficult to prevent that rifle moving. So there's an effect of a snatching, a pressured reaction. Poirier skiing fast.
Well, he was 37.5 seconds down. You can see he's now 29.5, so he's gained 8 seconds in the last kilometre and a half. So he's on a mission to catch, but that could prove to be his downfall as well, because he can't afford to slow down now. He wants to win,
But you know what? The strength of Raphael is that in the 7 minutes, by the time he gets back to the range, in those 7 minutes that he's left the range, he will have sorted his head out. He will not let that same mistake happen again. And that's the strength of Raphael Poiré.
Now, has Rojkov got the same mental control? My experience from watching him last year is, yes, he has. The thing that goes up and down with Rojkov is his skiing ability. He's obviously on good form at the moment, but he's got just about enough time to settle for that first shot before he's going to be disturbed by the 3 Scandinavians coming in. These Norwegians mean business. Lots of team spirit in there. Going to be very interesting because they're going to be competing with each other as well as with Rojkov.
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, there's so much at stake here. In those milliseconds that you squeeze the trigger, it's win or lose.
Well, give us a prediction. We've got Rojkov, then 3 Norwegians, and Poiré now just 28.8 seconds down, closing all the time on the leaders, but only 1 shoot to go, and then 2,500 meters to ski. Rojkov, if he can come out with a lead of 20 seconds, should be able to hold on to that.
Well, I have a good feeling for Rojkov today. He's just looked in control.
1-0-0, Rojkov's shooting score so far. The wind has picked up for this final standing shoot. There's the first miss, and all the Norwegians will have heard that. So a chance, 22 seconds extra on Rojkov's time. Only Hjelland left who can challenge, and of course Poiré, who is taking his time.
Watch Poiré, he'll more than likely get 5 with 5. And he's missed his first. Frode has missed 3.
And Hjelland has got all 5. He is going to join Rojkov at the front of the leaderboard. Poiré, with that mistake, is going to be fighting out for 3rd and 4th position. Good battle between himself and Eckhoff. Bergman and Grice not out of a chance of going into the top 3 or 4. Could they go clear? But Hjelland it is who comes out first, 28.24. Rojkov 4.6 seconds down. This is going to be an almighty battle because both of them ski at just about the same speed. This is a question of mind once again. Who has got it in him to work harder, to hurt the most?
Oh, you've got to feel sorry for Frode Andresen. He looked to be in control today, but 3 penalties on that last standing. Nightmare.
Well, he doesn't have enough good shoots to be confident, and I think he must have gone through the first 3 shoots thinking, I've got a really good chance here. But at 3 penalty loops for Frode Andresen, and he's dropped from the top 4 out of the top 6. Now the question is, how far behind is he? Chepikov's overtaken him 43 seconds ahead, 1 minute and 5 seconds for Andresen on the penalty loops. That's very, very quick. Oss comes out 54 seconds down. Grice is in the top 10 still, having started in 12th place, so he's made 2 places. Andresen second, he's down in 11th, 1 minute off the pace. If he can gain 10 seconds, he'll get himself up into 8th place. A prediction for his finishing
Well, remember, he's just punished himself 3 times that 150 loop. It does take the stuffing out of your legs. He will catch them. He is mad with himself.
Let's have a position.
He'll push them. Frode will move up into 8th place today.
8th place, I'll give him 7th. I think he's saved himself on laps 3 and 4 for a final blast over the last 2.5 kilometres. We'll see what happens in about 7 minutes' time. Here is the race leader, Egil Hjelland, looking fantastic. He was only 4 seconds ahead of Rojkov. He's extended that, Mike. He's pulling away all the time.
Oh, he's panicking, Patrick, and put in my notes before the race that Hjelland has never won a World Cup. We saw the young man Eckhoff doing it the other day, and I thought, well, nearly all of the Norwegians that are regular starters have won a World Cup. I was very surprised Hjelland hasn't. This could be his day.
Well, the Norwegian coaching team have an absolute nightmare on their hand when it comes to picking the team for the second stage of the World Cups, which start in early January, and then, of course, the World Championships, which are taking place in March. And Roger Gruben has got a tough task, hasn't he? He's got Eckhoff, Hjelland, Hannevold, Andresen, and of course Oleana Bjorndalen, who you assume is a must for all the big competitions. And then so many youngsters like Roning and Oss, who are starting to show form and need to be given World Cup experience.
What a wonderful position to be in for a coach, though, to have to, well, in fact, it's a tough position for any coach to have to leave any one of these big names, 6, 7 top names in the Norwegian team, and you can only race 4 at the World Champs. What a nightmare.
It's interesting how the demise of the Norwegian cross-country team has been matched by a massive improvement over the whole of the Norwegian biathlon squad.
Yeah, the last 5 years we've seen such a huge growth, and a lot of these lads have been around. They've all been creating this success themselves over the last 5 to 8 years.
So do you put that down to the fact that Bjorn Dahlen has been one of the leading stars? He's been the sports personality in Norway for 2 or 3 seasons, and of course those successes you talked about in Salt Lake City starting to have an effect with all the youngsters saying biathlon's the game to be in.
I do think that is the case, and the clubs are so alive and growing in membership all over Norway for young biathletes.
Mike, you may have seen Sven Fischer just popping through the screen there. He's pick up on his position. He's in 13th after the final shoot. Fischer missed one in the first prone, but he has gained ground. He was down in 23rd position, so 10 places gained by Fischer. Very, very valuable points indeed for him if he wants to win the overall World Cup for the 3rd time this year.
Indeed, I think the best mover today has been Chepikov from 22nd right up into 7th after the shoot. He may drop down a little bit. Can't see Hjelland being beaten today unless he falls.
No, he's looking very comfortable. Remember, only 4 seconds between Hjelland and Roscoff when they left the shooting area, and it's now 16. He's looking comfortable. He's worked very hard. The question is, has he done too much? But the course here in Östersund involves most of the climbing early on.
It does indeed. This is the steepest climb we're looking at here. It's always deceptive when you're looking down the hill by camera.
And the remaining 900 metres pretty easy. Poiré, Mike, has done well. He's got himself up into 3rd. Despite missing 2 in the first stand and then 1 in the second. Once again, a mediocre performance by his standards, but he's in the top 5 yet again, and that should be good enough to retain the lead in the World Cup standings. He's overtaken Fischer after that result on Wednesday.
But that is, we were talking about Poiré and Bjorn Dahlen earlier, and this is Poiré's strength. He is Mr. Consistent, even when he's missed 3 targets today, but he's still placing in the top 3 of the World Cup.
So what a day for Egil Hjelland. Started on the World Cup Tour back in 1996. He's been on the podium 5 times, but never made #1. Today he has changed all that. Brilliant finish, great shooting. The score 0-0-1-0, so 19 out of 20 for Hjelland. Held his nerve when it mattered most. That final shoot where he came and overtook Sergei Rojkov of Russia. Rojkov led between shoots 3 and 4. So often the case, the leader at that stage never wins the race, and today once again it stayed true. 18.8 seconds down. A good result though from Rojkov. He's nice and steady, should move into the top 5 of the rankings with that performance. Poiré on the podium yet again. Not the golden boy of the day, but he'll stay in yellow for the mass start on Sunday.
Another good performance from Eckhoff, although he did start first. 39 seconds down now in 4th.
And he's in 4th position in the world rankings. Chepikov, as you say, Mike, the biggest climber of the day, 22nd up to 5th, and Chepikov shooting 20 out of 20. Fancy that, under all sorts of pressure, skiing well, shooting brilliantly. Oss and Anderson, a bit of a sprint to finish, and Oss comes out on top. And Bergman of Sweden, once again in the top 10. He'll stay ranked in the top 10 of the World Cup. It's a much better season for Bergman, and it would just be great to see him contending a top 3 finish.
Yeah, that is good. It's for Bergman once again, and this could be the building blocks for Sweden's regaining the top as they were many years ago.
Can you believe it, Mike? Mickey Grice, the best of the Germans, in 11th, Gross in 12th, Fischer in 13th. That's not the sort of thing that Frank Ulrich wanted to see. He's going to have to sharpen the squad up for Sunday, but they've started the season well, but just starting to lose form. I wonder whether they've been doing too much.
They haven't shot bad today at all, missing 2, 2 and 1. That's Grice, Gross and Fischer. But as you say, they're way off the pace. That will worry Frank Ulrich.
The world individual champion Halvard Hannevold from Chianti-Manzisk 3 years ago, down in 15th place today. Hannevold usually so solid with the shooting, Mike, but he's going to miss 5 targets, 3 of those in the prone. I wonder whether he had a problem there, and maybe he got the worst of the wind conditions. We're not to know. Julien Robert, 16th place today, having started in 30th, so once again, good shooting, bringing the French up the order. Sherazov, very exciting Russian, who's came to our notice in Holmenkollen with a brilliant 4th place finish there, and Sherazov only 2:23 down, 19th place he finishes, having started in 31st, and Jeremy Thiele in 20th. Mike, he's made an improvement as well.
Well done, Jeremy Thiele. He was talking about his horrible shooting form back just a week ago in Oslo, but he missed 4 today. Much better. He's got such power.
Horrible it might be, but not as bad as Jay Häkkinen's, who's finished in 22nd place. Remember, Häkkinen, an excellent result on Wednesday to finish 7th, but he's going to miss 6 targets today, finished 2:43 off the leaders. Clegg of Canada comes in, picks up some more World Cup points. That's a good run for him. Rishenkov 28, Dostal in 29th position, and Wolfgang Rottmann of Austria, the last man to pick up World Cup points today.
Clegg, you mentioned, that's from 55th up to 27th. Canada should be proud today. He's really confirming himself as a great shot, Robin Clegg, missing 1 each in the last 2 visits standing.
Well, an excellent pursuit event. The only thing missing really is the crowd involvement. Not enough people turning up to watch this race. Maybe we should have had the 2 pursuit events on Saturday to allow the crowds to come in numbers. They're obviously all busy working in this part of the world. Or, alternatively, provide a night race, floodlight the tracks and the range, and get the people in, because it really needs the atmosphere before this turns into one of the classic races.
Indeed, they're not that. They like watching biathlon up here in Sweden, but they don't like getting out into the cold weather and standing beside and cheering. They do follow it, they just don't come out and watch it.
I think that's a little harsh. They love their sport in Sweden. They're not quite as vocal as the Germans in Bavaria are.
Pinter dropped down after praising him as creating himself as the 2nd best Austrian this season. The Swiss lads again, 43rd for Simon. He's had a good season. Hallenbatter, 46th. They have a base in Andermatt, the Swiss team, and it seems to be working. Roller ski track, shooting, more professional. They're certainly moving up.
So Norway claiming victory for the 4th time this year. Bjorndalens won 2. Eckhoff winning on Wednesday for his first time. And now Egil Hjelland gets his first ever win. So that's really good news for Roger Gruben. It's nice to see Bjorndalen doing well, but when he moves off to do something else, Gruber now knows that the rest of the squad are strong enough and confident enough to come in particular to win a pursuit event.
Look at the strength and depth there. There's 4 Norwegians in the top 9 with Alexander Oss. That's probably his best ever result today for Oss.
I think you're right. The man from Tromsø, way up the north of Norway.
Yes, his previous best was 14th, and today he's 9th. So again, he's building confidence. He's alongside these great Norwegians, and it really does improve you. Hannevold will be disappointed. Doesn't normally miss 5.
There's Sergei Rozhkov, finished 2nd today, having led in the final stages, led into the range for the final time, but missed targets from Rozhkov. Just 1 missed shot on that last shoot cost him the top spot. He finishes 18 seconds down off Norway's Egil Hjelland. So nice short, sharp racing here in Östersund, very much in contrast to the 2 sprint events that we've held so far this week. Mike, it's a long way to come for a 45-minute race. Do you think maybe both the pursuits should be held on the same day?
They're trying to rest the women who raced yesterday. They're doing this in order to give the athletes rest. Remember, it has now been 8 races in 17 days, so they do need to spread it out. If you're going to race them every day, there's more fatigue. They will not last the whole season. So it's really in order to protect the biathletes, I think.
Well, they now get a little bit of a rest once they've raced on Sunday in the mass start, but only the top 30 in the world will get the right. It's going to be pretty much Germany, Russia, Norway and France who fill those numbers. But it'll be good to have Sikora of Poland there, and anyone else who's going to get into that leading group. Maybe Bilanenko of the Ukraine will qualify. That would be good, but I'm not sure the Austrians are going to make it.
Defran from France, he will make it. Julien Robert has been lifting and improving his results all the time. Now, is this an Italian biathlete? It is Longo, Paolo Longo. They're not really making it happen, the Italians. When we think back 10 years, Italy was winning medals at World Championships and at Olympic Games. But they're in that rebuilding process.
Well, he's not in a hurry, and it doesn't really make any odds. No World Cup points to be gained outside that, but the FIS points will be important at some stage when it comes to selection. But Longo coming in 7:52 behind. He's missed 7 targets in all sorts of trouble in the standing, missing 5 out of 10, so only a 50% hit rate. For the man on your screen, Egil Hjelland, a very different story. Superb shooting from Hjelland, 19 out of 20 today. Cope with the pressure of being in that leading group right the way through, and he has claimed his first ever World Cup win. Raphael Porret, the champion of France, the champion of the world last year in so many events, but not the pursuit. Today, he's gone third. That drop shot in the first of the standing shoots really ruining his chances. Sergei Rozhkov looked as though he was heading for his first win of the season. It didn't happen. One mistake on the final stand, and he found himself trailing 4 seconds behind Egil Hjelland of Norway. Unable to do anything about it, he gave up the chase and just made sure of that second place. Hjelland, Mike, a superb athlete, finally fulfilling his potential. The carpenter from Hallandsdalen, proving that he is a match for the rest of the world today. First place, first ever win. Superb stuff.
I'm delighted for Hjelland, been around on the World Cup Tour for so many years. He deserves this today. He focused, he pushed hard, and he is so delighted.
Well, he should move himself up the World Cup rankings, lying in 13th at the moment. 50 points for a win today. Roger Gruben absolutely delighted with his charge, and so he should be. It's been a superb Norwegian demonstration of biathlon today. Look at that order. Norway first, 4th and 8th. Rozhkov, superb second place. Porret, he's always there, and he will stay as the World Cup leader as a result of the 42 points he's picked up for today's event. So that leaves just one event to go here in Östersund. In fact, 3 events, with the women's pursuit tomorrow and then the mass starts on Sunday. And that's going to be, I think, the highlight, with the top 30 in the world all going off together. It's absolute mayhem on the first shoot, and the pressure every bit as much as it is in the pursuits. The Americans a bit disappointed. They picked up points, but Jay Hakkinen dropping from 7th down to 22nd. But the toast of the day going to Egil Hjelland of Norway, who has secured his first ever World Cup win for Norway here in Östersund. So that wraps up our coverage from Östersund. Mike, your last thoughts on the day's race?
Well, only 2 athletes, Chepikov and Bilanenko, had the perfect shoot, and that just shows how tough it is out there.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for your company. Thanks to all of you for watching today. Hope you've enjoyed the race. Remember, the women's pursuit coming up tomorrow, and the start of that very, very tight indeed. Should be a cracker. Join us then. For now, though, from Östersund, goodbye.